If you want talk, games, and fun all rolled into one, well, you've come to the right place. This is The Game Show, where host Bradley Clarke and his special guests talk about the world of television game and competition shows. But Bradley's guests aren't here to just talk. They came to play a game as well. What will today's topic be? What game does Bradley have planned? There's only one way to find out.
It's time to start the show.
You heard the man. Welcome to The Game Show. And here's your host, the Bradster himself, Bradley Clarke.
Survey says, welcome to The Game Show, the talk show all about the world of television game and competition shows. I'm Bradley Clarke, and there's a reason why the first two words that came out of my mouth to start this episode were Survey Says, because joining me on this episode of The Game Show is a man who certainly knows a thing or two about that iconic game show catchphrase.
It's time to play Family Feud. Introducing the LeBlanc family. Playing against the Ritterbond family. And now, here's your host, John O'Hurley.
Welcome to Family Feud, returning now for their second day. It's the LeBlanc family. Hello.
I love it.
Thank you. Come over and hug me tight. I live for this. You know that? Introduce me to your family once again.
I brought my grandniece, Tina, my husband, Ted, my granddaughter, Shar, and my daughter, Stephanie.
It's good to
and
have
I'm
you
Beatrice.
back.
Thank
Nice
you.
to have you back, Beatrice. Today, challenged by the Ritterbond family. Hello, James.
Hey, John, how you doing
Nice
today?
to have you back here. Introduce me to the family here.
Yes, thank you. This is my brother, Jomel, my brother, JP, my cousin, Agnes, and my beautiful sister, Jacqueline.
Great to have you here as well. Good luck to you both. Are you ready to play the feud? I need Beatrice and James. Join me.
But that's not all the game show experience he's had. Before Family Feud, my guest hosted another classic game show with a well-known catchphrase. I'll give you a hint. Will the reel sound cut? Please play now.
Number one, what is your name?
My name is Allison Bly, and I'm going out with a bang.
Number two, what is your name?
My name is Allison Bly, and I'm going out with a bang.
Number three, what is your name?
My name is Allison Bly, and I'm going out with a bang.
Only one is the real Allison Bly and has sworn to tell the truth. Now, let's meet our panelists. Nisha Taylor, Paula Poundstone, from Full House, Dave Coulier, and from The Young and the Restless, Melody Thomas Scott. Here is the star of To Tell the Truth, John O'Hurley.
Hello there, and welcome to Tell the Truth. So you go out with a bang, do you? Well, I live life dangerously, too. I go out with a blonde. And she's a bombshell. And I'm probably in a lot of trouble right now, but it's time to play To Tell the Truth.
Many of you might know him as Jay Peterman from Seinfeld or the longtime host of the National Dog Show. But with my head and heart always in the game show world, I know him best as the host of Family Feud from 2006 until 2010. To tell you the truth, he is on the line right now, and I can't wait to talk with him about Family Feud and more. Let me use my best Burton Richardson voice as I say, and now, here's my guest, John O'Hurley! John, welcome to the game show.
Well, thank you. I hope I live up to this introduction.
Don't worry, of course you will. And I want to let you know that I was 9 years old when I first saw you host Family Feud back in 2006. And I've got to tell you, this is 13 years in the making, because I think I may have seen every single episode of yours on Family Feud. And I remember after elementary school running home, because it would air here in New York at 3 p.m., so I'd run home to make sure to catch it. And if not, I always had it recorded just so I would make sure to watch it.
Well, I'm deeply flattered. Thank you very much. That means the world to me.
It truly means a lot to me that you came on the show. I'm super excited, and I can't wait to talk about Family Feud. And later on, I know it's been a decade since you've hosted the show, but later on, I have a Family Feud-themed game for you to play, so I hope you're excited for that.
Let's do it.
All right, you ready to talk about Family Feud?
Sure.
Survey says, let's talk about Family Feud. So I want to start off by asking you, were you a fan of game shows growing up and throughout your life?
Oh, yeah, because as I grew up, there was that 4 o'clock slot after you got home from school, from 4 till 6, which was the match game and the newlywed game, and all of the classic game shows were slid in at that 2-hour period. So I always enjoyed them, absolutely.
Did you ever imagine that one day you would become a game show host?
I'll give you an even funnier parallel. All during the 80s, I was on daytime television, the soaps, and we did a celebrity soap Family Feud with Richard Dawson. And I was part of the male soap stars, and then we were playing the female soap stars, and it all went to charity, whoever won. And I don't remember who won. But I do remember watching Richard Dawson, and I don't remember much about the game, except that I kept saying to myself, this is a pretty good gig. I really like this. And lo and behold, another 20 years later, and the show was mine. And I thought that was such an interesting thing, to be part of the show, and then later on, it's all yours.
Well, that's such a cool story that sometimes life comes full circle like that. You were a player back in the day, and then you got to stand behind the podium yourself.
Yes, it was. And I used to think of it as a very scary thing because you're working without a net there, and you have to hope that the net will appear. You're not scripted. Everything is just out there. And it's your ability to process information quickly and to move the game along at the same time. You know, it's an interesting demand on a host because you have to be entertaining. The game has to be entertaining, and the game has to fit in that half-hour slot. You know, so you got to keep the game moving as well. So it's all very fun and very interesting, and it's a wonderful challenge. But today, you know, it's a tough gig because, you know, we shoot 12 shows on a weekend. So that's 6 and 6, and that's by Sunday night. Your voice is a little tired, and your game show legs are a bit weary as well. And there's no question that it is a challenge. But it's also a lot of fun. I mean, I always regarded hosting a game show a little bit like hosting a cocktail party. And if you're a good party host, then you'll be a good game show host. And it's a little bit about just enjoying each person individually and not trying to think too far beyond that. Just kind of staying in the present moment, and everything will take care of itself.
And one of the things I loved about you as the host of Family Feud is that I could genuinely sense that you were always in that moment, especially when a fast money win occurred. I would get so excited just sitting on my couch, but I could feel your energy and thrill for the contestants through the TV screen.
Name something that people do at a ball game. You said they cheer. You need 19 people to cheer with you, and you're $20,000 richer. Survey said, you got it!
How about that? First appearance, $20,000. Tell me what time you'd have to wake up to watch the sunrise. You said, and you only need 14. 5:30 a.m. Survey says, you got it right there.
Oh, absolutely. It was fun. And it was part of the joy of the show was enjoying the game. You know, I mean, I'm part host, part spectator because it's not pre-established as to who's going to win. It's anybody's game. And that was the fun of it. And I enjoyed that. And, you know, even the 3 years before Family Feud when I was hosting To Tell the Truth, the same kind of feel. I had more fun playing along with my celebrity panel. And it was just a joyful, joyful time.
We're going to talk about To Tell the Truth in a little bit. And still, to this day, To Tell the Truth with You has one of my favorite theme songs of all time.
Oh.
Now, when were you first asked to become the host of Family Feud, and was it an immediate yes?
It was an immediate yes. It was shortly after Dancing with the Stars, the first season of that. And I ultimately won through this controversial dance-off that they had to do because of the suspicious voting that went through in the first round. So a lot of good things came off that victory there on Dancing with the Stars. One of them was I was doing the lead on Broadway as Billy Flynn in musical Chicago, to which I still do, the role that I still play to this day and have done over 2,000 performances. But I was on stage that night when I got a message saying that they were changing hosts and they wanted me to host Family Feud. So I said, absolutely, yes, because I just enjoyed the show so much. And same producers that produced To Tell the Truth. In fact, we were on the same stage, and it was just a case of turning the set around. And that was kind of fun, too. So, yeah, I said yes immediately. There was no question about it that I knew I should be doing it.
One thing I love about doing this show is learning from my guests. I had no idea that that was the same set that you did To Tell the Truth on.
They flipped it around is what they did. If you went to the backside of To Tell the Truth, it was Family Feud.
So you went from number one, what is your name, please, on one side, to number one answer on the other.
I've never thought of it that way. Thank you for putting it in that perspective.
See, you teach me something and I'll return the favor of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
To prepare for hosting Family Feud, did you watch previous episodes of the show, or did you contact either Louis Anderson or Richard Karn for some advice? Those were the two hosts prior to you.
No, what they did was I had a couple of days of test runs, just kind of getting up to snuff on the way the game moves. And it wasn't too difficult. I understood the game, and I did watch quite a few of the games, so I understood the game very well. But that was it. That was really all they had to do, just a couple of days of guest hosting on a trial run, and it was fun. I enjoyed it.
See, that's why you're so good. You just got it. You just got it.
Well, at one point you stop worrying about it, and you, as I said before, you leap and the net will appear, and you have to believe that what you have is enough in your head to process the information that's being given to you by these contestants. And you also have to remember they're scared out of their shoes. They're on live television, which is not a comfortable medium for them, and you're there to take care of them. And I think that's the most important thing that a host can bring, is that sense of that patriarchal feel, to make sure that not only the guests on the show, but the audience watching the show, that I got you covered. This is my show. I'm going to have fun, and you're going to have fun with me.
And from your get-go, what I loved about your version of the show was that there was an updated version of the original Richard Dawson set that was created. And for the first season, announcer Burton Richardson said the classic lines, "Ready for action," and "On your marks," when introducing the families.
Introducing the Houston family. Ready for action. Playing against the Casey family. On your marks. Let's start the Family Feud. And now, here's your host, a perfect 10, John O'Hurley.
So it felt like the producers of the show wanted to bring back the feeling of the original Family Feud and introduce a nostalgia aspect, and that includes having you as the host, because just like Richard Dawson, you're a handsome, well-dressed, funny man who could lead a game show with such poise and charm. So did you pick up on the nostalgic feel to the show when you first began hosting Family Feud?
Sure. It was getting a little casual, I think, and I tried to return it to a sense of elegance a little bit. Nice suits and dress up the show a little bit. We also introduced the idea, which I loved, of having the audience on stage with us. It kind of wrapped around, and it was a nice feeling to be able to, everywhere you look, you see a nice face, so that it wasn't such a staged show in that you're looking on a proscenium type of feel, but it was kind of like theater in the round, which I liked.
Right, and actually I was a drama major in high school, and I was fortunate enough to do a show in the round, and it was such a unique and fascinating experience, because wherever you looked, there was either someone there supporting you or simply engaged in what was going on stage, which was really helpful as an actor.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and it gives an energy because you have to keep moving.
Exactly, and with a game like Family Feud, it oftentimes is a fast-moving game, and that all has to do with the great format that Mark Goodson first created, so I'm glad that your version brought back that sense of Family Feud nostalgia.
Yeah, it was a fun time. It really was. And it's wonderful to see the show kind of tweak itself every year, trying to improve it this way or that. It was kind of fun.
And speaking of nostalgia, at the beginning of your third season in 2008, the original theme music was brought back to the show for the first time since it was briefly used during Richard Karn's first season in 2003. I've always been curious as to why all of a sudden the original theme music was brought back instead of continuing to use the syndicated version theme song. I have my own guess, but I was wondering if you might know the answer to that question.
No, they're always tweaking the show, and it's like they'll put together a little focus group and they'll throw the theme out and they'll take a reading off the focus group. So it's just everybody's always trying to tweak it a little bit to kind of give it the new take on an old theme. And I think that they're always kind of playing with the nostalgia and the newness of it. If you look at today's set. On Steve Harvey's show, it's very modern, very high-tech, which I kind of like, actually. I kind of like that kind of splashy, very high, bright kind of chroma key type of look to it.
Yeah, the HD really comes through on Family Feud now, especially with the blinking lights on the board itself, and they redid the podiums. But going back to the return of the original theme song, my guess was that, so in the summer of 2008, they did Celebrity Family Feud on NBC with Al Roker, if you remember that.
The ultimate star-studded Tuesday night event featuring the biggest celebrity matchups. The cast of My Name is Earl.
They're on my list.
Ice-T versus Joan Rivers.
Shake your groove thing!
Bruce Jenner and the Kardashians versus Deion Sanders.
Your pants.
The Girls Next Door versus Vincent Pastore.
Viagra.
Kathy Lee Gifford versus Dog the Bounty Hunter.
I think he cheated on that thing.
Raven Simone versus Wayne Newton.
Because they're everywhere and they will not die!
And more. It all starts now with your host, Al Roker.
And good evening, everybody. Tonight, a genuine American classic returns to prime time. Family Feud is back, but this time, celebrities and their loved ones play for $50,000 for their favorite charity.
For that version, they redid the set, and then they kept it for your eventual third season. So my guess is that they just wanted to keep it so that it was an update for the syndicated version, and it looked different for the NBC version.
Yeah.
Just a guess.
I'll go with that.
Good. So we have 2 votes. So for the final season that you hosted Family Feud from 2009 to 2010, the Bullseye round made a return. And for the listeners who don't remember the Bullseye round, it first appeared from 1992 to 1994 during the latter years of the Ray Combs run.
Welcome to the Family Feud Challenge. What is the top answer to this question? Name a country America could rely on in a military conflict. The survey says the number 3 answer is France. The number 2 answer is Canada. What is the number 1 Bullseye answer? You'll get the answer as we play Bullseye on the Family Feud Challenge.
Now, the Bullseye round began every episode, and it allowed the teams to build their fast money bank. There were basically 5 survey questions, and each family member faced off during one of them, and the goal of the family member was to buzz in and give the number 1 answer. Now, for your version, teams began their fast money bank with $15,000, and it could grow to as much as $30,000. Now, do you remember why the show decided to bring back the Bullseye round, and were you a fan of it?
I wasn't really happy with that. To me, the game is good as it is. You don't have to tweak it. I think that was kind of like adding a new set of rules on a new set of rules, and it was kind of gilding a lily. I don't think we needed it. And I think, when you start changing the fundamentals of the game, people start to go, I don't know. It's like adding the 3-point shot in to a game that had years of 2-point basket. Now, over the lifespan of the NBA, that has turned out to be a big thing, and 3-point shooting is much a part of the game as the layup. But regardless, you're adding in a new set of rules, and I'm not always crazy about that idea, especially to something like a show that is so steeped in tradition. It really didn't need it.
We'll get started right now with the Bullseye round. $15,000 into each family's bank account. And we're going to ask 5 Bullseye questions, increasing each one by $1,000. A total of $30,000 could be in the bank for fast money. We'll begin with Joshua and Ben. Join me. All righty, we'll start off with a question worth $1,000. If you give me the number 1 answer, the question is this. Name a place where women go topless. You got there, Ben?
The beach.
The beach. Show me the beach. Yeah, got it. All right, our $2,000 question is this. Name something people hope a house guest doesn't do in the bed. You there first, Monica?
Have whoopee.
Have whoopee. Have whoopee. No, not there at all. Leonida?
In the bed? Spill a drink.
Spill a drink, she says. Spill a drink. Also not there. Let's find out what is. We'll reveal the answer from the survey. What shouldn't they do in the bed? Wet the bed! Of course, our $3,000 question is here. Name a kind of lunch meat that matches your mate's personality. You there first, Joelle?
Ham.
Ham! Show me ham. All idea, $4,000 question. Name a place where people don't want to end up.
Morgue.
The morgue. Show me the morgue. No, not there, Melissa.
Jail.
Jail. Show me jail. You got it. All right, come on in. Our final question worth $5,000. Name a rock star who is old enough to be a grandpa. Kim?
Mick Jagger.
Mick Jagger. Show me Mick Jagger. You've got the $5,000 question. All righty.
And because of the Bullseye round, the main game had to be shortened to only 3 rounds, a single, double, and triple round. And the game itself felt a little too quick because of the Bullseye round, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I liked the show the way it was. When they put that in, I wasn't crazy about it.
And that season, instead of showing you going over to each team for their introductions, a pre-recorded package of the families introducing themselves would be shown, which I personally wasn't a big fan of because I think part of the Family Feud experience is the host actually going over and introducing the families for the audience. The Steve Harvey version now doesn't even show Steve doing that, although it is done and just edited out, which I'm also not the biggest fan of.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. Although there are some people that think it's kind of slows the game down because people are playing at home.
That is very true. So you decided to leave Family Feud back in 2010 after hosting the show for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I still remember back in the summer of 2010 seeing the article for the first time saying that you left the show and that Steve Harvey was going to be replacing you. And I was so saddened when you left the show because this is not just because I'm talking to you right now, but I genuinely enjoyed watching all 4 years of you hosting Family Feud.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. But it was a tough decision, but they were moving the show from shooting in L.A. down to Universal down in Florida. And I wasn't really pleased about that because it was tough enough to coordinate the filming of the show with all of the other demands that I had, not the least of which was the fact that I was doing quite a bit of Broadway at the time. And it was very difficult for me to coordinate the two because I had 14 weekends a year that I had to commit to Family Feud. Now, if I had to travel to Florida every time I wanted to do one of those weekends, well, now I'm adding in, with travel days, another 30 days away from home just for traveling, in addition to the 2 days that it would take to shoot it. So now I'm away for half of the year. And with all of the other things, plus my family, I didn't want to do it. So I said, this is the time probably when you should pass it on to somebody else. I've had my fun with it, and it's time to move on. Now, that being said, Steve Harvey came in and reignited the show. It turned out to be a much bigger hit than when I was doing it. So I tip my hat to him and all that has happened with the success of the show since then. And again, the show has moved from Florida up to Atlanta, where he's based. And I don't know if they're still shooting it there or not. I think they are. But it turned out to be just a wonderful jolt of success for the show, and hats off to him.
They've actually moved it back to L.A. It was in Atlanta for a few years, and now it's back in L.A.
You know more about it than I.
I'm sure you know a few things about the show that I don't, but, I like to stay up to date with the show whenever I can. But I remember watching an interview that you did with a Fox station and saying that one of the main reasons why you left Family Feud was because the show was becoming less family-friendly.
Well, that was a very strong reason, too. I was getting a lot of, of course, they blamed the host for whatever the show is. And the truth was, I had very little to do with the content of the show except to put my hand up and say I won't do that. Because as I said, and I meant it when I said it, the show had become kind of a penis joke. And it wasn't the family orientation that it was. Everything was looking for the sexual double entendre all the time. And it was even getting a little too demonstrative. And I just felt that this was always a show you could watch with your family. In fact, in most syndicated arenas, it was on at 6 o'clock at night. And that was kind of a popular family show to watch. But I was getting so many letters from people all around the country saying, I can't watch this with my family anymore. It's making me answer questions that I don't want to answer.
I absolutely 100% agree with you. I actually wrote a paper for a mass media class I took about how Family Feud has become too raunchy nowadays, and I'm a purist. I love original versions of stuff, and one of the reasons why I loved your version was it felt like the original version, just with that modern twist.
Well, it's because I did at least have the final say on what questions we would do, and if I objected to one, it didn't go in. But I had to fight that, and there was always saying, no, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, trust me. And I said, oh, no, I don't like it. It's not right. And, I got to stand by my values or find somebody else to do it. And ultimately, that's, kind of what it came down to between that and the complexity of having to be in the air too much and away from my family. It was the right decision at the right time.
So here's my take on the double entendres of game shows. So years ago, they would write questions, and It was up to the contestants to try to figure out if there was a double entendre and if they wanted to say it and it would cause a laugh. But I feel like now the questions are written purposely to get people to say those double entendres, not, for the contestants to casually get
don't even finish it. I'll agree with you 100%. I agree. It's a little bit like you're setting up your audience for that.
Right, they're setting up the punchline, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yep. There are wonderful opportunities for humor just from the twists and turns and the tension of the human mind on television. I remember when they had two guys that looked like they were college educated come up to the face-off. And the question was, name a classic film that begins with the letter C. And you would say, give me one of them, just off the top of your head.
Casablanca,
Caddyshack, Citizen Kane, they were all up there on the board. He hits the buzzer. Seabiscuit. I mean, there's a wonderful moment. That's what should be funny. You know what I mean? As opposed to somebody talking about, never mind, I won't even use words, but that's the style of humor that we should be going after, where someone just has a malaprop right in the middle of the show. That's funny. But when you're setting the person up for it, give me another name for, come on.
Do you think that if Family Feud returned to the style of questions that you just mentioned, such as name a classic movie that starts with the letter C, that you would want to host the show again?
Yeah, I think if we could go back and do a little bit more mass appeal version of it, sure, yeah.
Do you think the show will ever go back to that way?
Probably not. It's in syndication right now. Syndication's a very tough market. And because it's in the cable arena and the independent stations, not network stations, they have a tendency to have to fight for edginess to stay alive. And that is what makes them edgy. And it also goes to a lower common denominator, too. I just think that it's a less educated show now. It's less mass appeal.
Well, I give you my word right here that if I ever got my hands on Family Feud, I will do my best to transform it back to your type of show and your version.
It was fun while it lasted.
Now, Game Show Network isn't airing them currently, but did you ever go back and rewatch episodes of Family Feud that you hosted?
I don't watch anything I do. I didn't watch Seinfeld first run anyway. I do watch some of the reruns, but I don't watch what I do. I'm not entertainment to myself. I remember it as theater. I liked it once, and if it was entertaining, then I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm a lot happier with my work that way, and then I don't have to obsess about it.
Have they ever contacted you to be on the celebrity version? Because I know Louis Anderson was on, and he hosted the show previously. Did they ever ask you?
No, and I don't know that I'd do it. I haven't sought out the opportunity, and it doesn't appeal to me.
I want to talk now about To Tell the Truth, which you hosted from 2000 to 2002. And first of all, when you got the job of Family Feud, what was it like reuniting with Family Feud announcer Burton Richardson, who was also the announcer of To Tell the Truth when you hosted the show?
Oh, I know. Well, my goodness. There were a few other game shows that I did pilots for that Burton was doing as well. He was kind of the all-around announcer guy. And people ask me what my favorite show was in all of my entertainment career. And as much as I loved Seinfeld, my answer is To Tell the Truth. I enjoyed that show more than any other show I did. We had the nicest group of producers, and I thought one of the most interesting shows to be part of. We had an extraordinarily funny panel that Paula Poundstone, Meshack Taylor, and a host of other people that filled chairs 3 and 4. We had some very interesting guests whose identities we were trying to pick apart through our questioning, not the least of which was Sergey, I can't think of his last name, but the guy who started Google.
You know the way the game is played. All 3 of our players here claim to be the real Sergey Brin. 2 are lying and only 1 has signed a statement swearing to tell the truth. Your job will be to find out who that is. Please open your affidavits that you have in front of you and follow along with me as I read the sworn testimony of the real Sergey Brin. I, Sergey Brin, co-founded the Internet's largest search engine, Google. Not only is our site one of the hippest on the web, but our work environment at the Googleplex is heaven for employees. Our Googlers have at their disposal a full-time masseuse, saunas, all the Ben & Jerry bars they can eat, plus organic meals by the guy who used to cook for a famous rock band. We have a unique philosophy: to get you on and off our site as fast as possible. Our search engine is so smart that other prominent portals default to Google when they can't find what they're looking for. Signed, Sergey Brin. All right, panel and audience, these 3 young gentlemen all claim to be the real Google guru. Which one is it?
Right before they went public, he was one of the guests To Tell the Truth. So we had some very, very interesting people. And the way we shot the show, which was 10 shows on a weekend, 5 and 5. And when people came on the weekend, you could bring your dogs there because it was my show. So I had dog care. I had child care if you wanted to bring your kids. I had a masseuse. I had a caterer there. So it was a pretty nice day. And I also, because I'm a wine collector, the final show of each day, what you don't know is that behind their desk, they had a glass of wine from me. So we had wine tastings for the final show on each day that we shot. So it was just a wonderfully fun way to kill a weekend. I'm just so curious, what game show pilots have you hosted? Let's see. We did Scrabble.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Couple of others, and the names escape me right now because they were not popular games. They were creating a game, so I can't even think, but that would have been back in the late 80s, early 90s.
I can't believe I forgot that you did Scrabble because I remember seeing it on YouTube one day and I'm like, wow, that's John O'Hurley doing Scrabble.
Yeah, I know. Yep. There were a couple of others that I did as well.
Welcome to the fastest word game on television. It's the Scrabble Challenge. And here's the man with all the tiles, John O'Hurley.
Oh, well, hello there, and welcome to the world's favorite word game.
And the contestants sat in these moving seats, and every time they went to the Scrabble board, they would literally be moved into position.
Yes, that's right. Good memory. Yes, I do remember something like that. Yeah, it looked like they were sitting in a boom chair.
Right, and the bonus round was the contestant had to make words going from the center of the board to one of the corners in 45 seconds so they can double their money.
It's time for the Scrabble Challenge bonus round. And once again, here's John.
Welcome back to the Scrabble Challenge. I'm here with Dean, who has won $4,750. Now, Dean, that's yours to keep, but you now have a chance to double that money to $9,500.
Oh, yeah.
Does that sound good to you?
That sounds real good, John.
All right. Well, this is the way it's going to work. Before the show, you drew 30 tiles from a standard set of Scrabble tiles, and now you're going to have 45 seconds to build a chain of words from the center of the board to one of the four corner squares. And if you manage to make a word that uses all 7 letters in your rack at one time, you not only win the game, you double your money, and you get to drive home in this.
It's a brand new car.
All right. Got a little room in your driveway for that?
Oh, yeah.
I'll just bet you do. All right, the only thing left to do is to find out which of the four corners you have to reach. So when you're ready, hit the button and lock in a square. All right, Dean, 45 seconds to get from the center to the upper right-hand square. If you get stuck, you can always trade in letters as long as you have some left. So take 5 seconds now. Study your letters. Okay. 45 seconds on the clock, Dean. Your time begins now.
Needs. N-E-E-D-S. Nose. N-O-S-E. Hen. H-E-N. Pale. P-A-L-E. Put. P-U-T. Tot. T-O-T. Tip. T-I-P.
And you found the corner. You found the corner. Upper right-hand corner. That means you have doubled your money. Your total is $9,500.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of confusing. That's what I hate about when game shows can't be just simple. You have to watch 4 or 5 before you understand the rules.
I still remember the first time I saw an episode of To Tell the Truth, because GSN would air them in reruns, and I didn't even know that your version existed. Back in the day, there was no YouTube, so all my knowledge came from Game Show Network, and when I saw that you hosted a version of To Tell the Truth, I'm like, that's John O'Hurley from Family Feud. He did another show, and I was mind blown.
Same producers. It was a lot of fun, though. It really was. As I said, I enjoyed that show more than anything else I've done.
One of my favorite episodes of your version of To Tell the Truth was when original panelist Kitty Carlisle came on the show.
Number 1, what is your name?
My name is I. King Jordan, and I'm good with my hands.
Number 2, what is your name?
My name is I. King Jordan, and I'm good with my hands.
Number 3, what is your name?
My name is I. King Jordan, and I'm good with my hand.
Only one is the real I. King Jordan, and has sworn to tell the truth. panelists, Meshack Taylor, Paula Poundstone, from Sin City, Richard Kind, and from the original To Tell the Truth, Kitty Carlisle Hart. Here's the star of To Tell the Truth, John O'Hurley.
Oh, thank you very much, and welcome to another To Tell the Truth. We are truly in the presence of greatness today, so let's not pause. Let's go. It's time to play To Tell the Truth. All right. I do want to say that this is, in fact, a special show. I want to first look to our third chair, a gentleman by the name of Richard Kind. I will paraphrase something that was said in TV Guide about him. They said someday this actor will get the series that he deserves. He has it now. He's 5th year on Spin City. It's a treasure to have with him, and one of my dearest friends. And I will say quite candidly, one of the great comedic actors I have ever worked with in my life. And of course, sitting to his left, what else do you say? One of the original members of the 1956 panel of To Tell the Truth, Kitty Carlisle Hart. What a joy to have with us. It is just an absolute treasure for all of us to have you here today. I've always wanted to say this. Questioning continues with Kitty Carlisle Hart.
Good memory. Yes, yes. And by doing that, she did every version of the show that had ever been done.
You are absolutely right. Kitty was a regular panelist on the Bud Collyer and Gary Moore versions from 1956 to 1978, and she appeared on the Robin Ward version in the 80s, and eventually appeared as a regular panelist again on To Tell the Truth on the 1990 to 1991 version. Brad Fact!
Right now, let's meet our cross-examiners. What is your name, please?
My name is Polly Burton.
I'm Ralph Bellamy.
My name is Kitty Carlisle.
And I'm High Gardner. I can attest that these people are telling nothing but the truth.
Well, let's say hello to the panel first here on To Tell the Truth.
Bill Cullen. Maggie Cass. Gene Rivers. And Kitty Carlisle.
And now let's meet our panel. At 3 years old, the star of Atlanta's Ragamuffins of Rhythm, Nipsey Russell. The never-to-be-forgotten Anita of West Side Story, Rita Moreno. Back home in the Big Apple, star of 8 Is Enough, New York's own Dick Van Patten. And star of stage, film, and opera, Kitty Carlisle. That's our panel.
Now let's meet our panel. Actor and raconteur, Orson Bean. Emmy Award-winning actress, Betty White. Co-star of Night Court, Richard Moll. And To Tell the Truth's very own, Kitty Carlisle.
What was the energy like in the studio that day? Because I'm sure it had to be such a thrill for everyone to have Kitty Carlisle there.
Well, it was. And, you know, it's funny because as you go back, it's like Zsa Zsa Gabor. Those are people that are famous for being famous. You know, kind of like our version of the Kardashians. You don't know what they do, but they're just famous for it. And Kitty Carlisle was the same way. She didn't really do anything. She was just famous. And that trickled over into the game show world. She found her home on game shows. You'd be hard-pressed to go back and find many movies that she'd ever done or television that she'd ever done. She was just famous for being famous.
Right, yeah. She was, you know, like Arlene Francis was on What's My Line.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
Did she share any memories or stories from the original version?
Oh, she was delightful. She may have, you know, I don't remember the day that early, but I do remember it was a joy to have her there for the time that she was. And we had some other interesting panelists, too, and I think one of the most entertaining was when we had Kermit the Frog there.
Now let's meet our panelists. Meshack Taylor, Paula Poundstone, the one and only Kermit the Frog, and from Scriptmore, Tracy Bingham. Here is the star of To Tell the Truth, John O'Hurley.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you very much, and welcome to Tell the Truth. Kermit, nice to see you.
Thank you. Very nice to be seen.
That was so touching to me because I grew up with that, and it was kind of fun to have, the voice of Kermit there and being able to react with the body of it, and you had to do kind of a pinch-me double take.
How good were you with guessing who the real person was? Did you have a good track record?
Yeah, I was pretty good at it, I would say. And I purposely didn't want to know because I wanted to kind of play along myself with the game because it was more fun for me that way.
Right. So the first time you read that dossier was right then and there.
Well, I would read the dossiers. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't stumbling over words, but I would read the dossier before. But I never knew who the real person was.
So how did you end up getting to tell the truth?
That may have come off Seinfeld because we finished Seinfeld in 98. So I think I probably was one of the people that was on their list. We did a pilot for it, and the pilot was very funny. And it sold in syndication, so, I went along with it. And it was such a fun group of people. I mean, it wasn't work to me. It was just I couldn't wait to get to the studio on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock just to have an entertaining day. And at 6 o'clock when we finished, I went out and just said, it was just the greatest day of my life. That show I would do again and again and again.
Were you surprised that you didn't get a call? Because when I heard To Tell the Truth was coming back, I was hoping that you would get the call to host it again.
Well, they have these focus groups and they have their demographics they have to supposedly worry about. I don't know. I think it's all nonsense anyway, but these groups have to justify their existence, so they come up with what they think the host should be and the age and the sex and the race and everything else that goes into diversity now, I guess. So I have no answer for that.
Before we get to the game, the last thing I want to talk about is Dancing with the Stars. You mentioned it before. You were on Back in Wheels Season 1, 2005. So you were the runner-up to Kelly Monaco.
All right, I can now reveal the champions of Dancing with the Stars. Kelly and Alex!
And as you mentioned, you had the special grudge match because of the quote-unquote setup that the audience thought. And then you won the grudge match. So do you consider yourself the winner of Season 1?
Over 22 million people tuned in to watch the dramatic final between John O'Hurley and Kelly Monaco.
The champions of Dancing with the Stars, Kelly and Alex!
I don't think I felt like the rug had been pulled out from me so completely before in my life.
I win this challenge fair and square.
Tonight, with the debate still raging, they return for a rematch.
Nobody wants to win as much as I do.
That is our win, that is our trophy, and that's the way it's gonna stay.
Tonight, you and you alone decide who wins the ultimate dance-off. Live. Okay, here we go. With the most votes, the winners of Dancing with the Stars, the dance-off, are John and Charlotta!
Well, I know I won the dance-off.
That's the right answer.
I won the dance-off, and that was kind of ultimately what it was all about. So they knew they had to redo that final one because the voting was so skewed. The votes on the championship episode didn't even matter because she'd already won from the week before with all of the online voting. So the votes didn't matter on the championship episode. She'd already won. So the entire championship episode didn't matter because she'd already won. That's where they realized they had boxed themselves into a corner. And had she not fallen 3 times in the final dance, no one would have known or cared. But she fell 3 times, and they had to give her 10s. And that's when everybody cried foul. I had nothing to do with it. We had a time of our lives doing that. But it was something that ABC, in truth and fairness, they hadn't really thought it through enough. This was just supposed to be a summer replacement series, and the darn thing turned out to be 35 million people watching it. So it was all of a sudden they had a hit on their hands, and they knew they were going to hit a wall at the end, but they just didn't know how hard they hit it, when she fell 3 times.
Have you kept up with the show and watched any other Dancing with the Stars seasons?
Oh, sure. I go back all the time. I love the show. I use it as a charity fundraiser. I take people on the show, and I've probably raised more than $1 million for charities since the season that I was on, the first season. I go back all the time with it. And what I like about it, it's the type of reality programming that we should be doing. It's talent-based, people trying to be better at something. In the same way that all of the musical shows, they're celebrating talent. They are not trying to take conventions like marriage and dating and turn them into game shows. I don't like that. I like the institutions of marriage, and I like the etiquette of dating. But putting people on shows, it's the wrong kind of reality television. It's people trying to be famous rather than trying to be better at something. And these other shows like Big Brother, they're basically taking, the human condition and making the story of your life the story rather than trying to tell a story. That's the difference. And I just believe it's the wrong type of television. But I think Dancing with the Stars and American Idol and all of those, I think they support talent. That's the type of reality television we should be promoting.
And what's great about the talent-based shows, especially Dancing with the Stars, is that they're still water cooler shows in the sense that many still watch each week and talk about it the next day with their coworkers or friends.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it still holds its audience rather than doing 2 seasons in a year, which I think may seem a little much. I think they're thinking of it more as event programming and just doing it once a year, which I think makes more sense.
I've always been curious, were you ever asked to participate in the All-Star season back in season 15?
No, I think they took Kelly that time. Yeah, I think the network was still smarting over the whole dance-off and everything that came from that. I think that they didn't want to have to go into why I was there and she wasn't, or she was there and I wasn't. So that was still kind of a black mark on the way that the show was run. But that being said, I still go there and sit in the audience, and I'm happy to. I think they did invite me back once to dance, and I want to say I've been on stage every night since 2006, so I haven't been able to spend any time with them. And I probably couldn't have done the show if they asked.
If you did have the time, would you have done it?
I might have, yeah, I might have. It was one of the most enjoyable things I'd done. I really, really enjoyed it. It was just another world to me, one of the most difficult things I've ever done. 7 hours, 7 days a week, and I would wring out 3 T-shirts every day in rehearsal, just trying to keep up with my coach, Charlotta. It was just one of the most difficult things I've ever done, but it was one of the most rewarding, too.
That's one thing I've always loved about Dancing with the Stars, is that I've always gotten the sense that the celebrity contestants have learned and gotten enriched by the experience.
Yeah, it's a very enriching experience. Even if you're the first one out, it doesn't matter. To get up there and try something you haven't done ever before, I always equate it to handing somebody a violin on a Tuesday morning and saying, could you possibly have a concerto for the entire country to listen to next Monday night? It's that foreign and that difficult. So it's a challenge, and it makes you get out of your comfort zone.
Definitely, definitely. And right before we get to the game, I do want to say that I love watching you every year on the dog show. And ever since
Thank you.
I realized that after the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, John O'Hurley from Family Feud hosted the National Dog Show, I've watched it. So it's always a pleasure hearing your voice commentate the competition every Thanksgiving.
Thank you. It's been an honor to do it. We've done this 17 years now. It's the #1 show that NBC does all year long. We got 32 million people this year watching. So it's grown from its first year. We had 19 million the first year, but now we're at 32. So it's one of the few shows in television that can claim that type of success. But it's just a beautiful piece of programming on the biggest family day of the year. And whether you're 4 or you're 94, there's something there for you to watch.
It's time to release the hounds. Hello, everyone. This is John O'Hurley, joined by my co-host, David Fry. Mary Carrillo is with us backstage. You're watching the hounds as they enter the ring, our first group today, and it's going to be an exciting one. Happy Thanksgiving, one and all. You are watching the National Dog Show presented by Purina and hosted by the Kennel Club of Philadelphia. Today, we're at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center, the home of the National Dog Show.
Definitely, definitely. And it's always fun watching the new breeds and seeing what the names of some of them are.
No, I know. They kill me every year with those new names. I think they just come up with the craziest names just to play around with me.
Well, John, we've reached my favorite part of the game show. And it's always more special when I have a professional game show host on the line, because I get to practice the skills that I hope I've learned and studied over the years as I've watched all these different shows and put them to the test. It is time for the game of the day.
Game of the day.
And as I said, we're going to do a little role reversal. So you're going to be playing a Family Feud type game, and I'm going to be the one saying survey says, because it's time to play a game I like to call Past Fast Money. Past Fast Money.
All right.
And here's how we play. I'm going to ask you 15 Fast Money questions, and these are all actual questions from 3 winning Fast Money rounds from Family Feud episodes that you hosted.
Okay.
Now, after each question I ask, you'll then give me what you think was the number one answer. And if you can come up with at least 7 number one answers out of the 15, you will be deemed a past Fast Money winner.
All right.
Simple as that. You ready to play?
Let's do it.
Then let's play Past Fast Money. And I think before I start saying survey says, it would be great to hear you say the famous catchphrase first. So would you give us a John O'Hurley survey says?
Survey says.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing that. All right, remember, there's no clock here, no 20 seconds on the clock, so think about it as long as you'd like. Here comes your first question. Tell me how many kids are in a grade school class?
20.
You say 20. Survey says that was the number one answer. Off to a great start. 1 down, 6 to go. Here comes your next question. Name something people drink with dinner.
Milk.
Survey says... Ooh, not number one. I wish you would have thought of wine, because that was the number one answer.
And of all people to ask that, too.
No worries at all. That question is behind us now. We still got plenty more. Here comes question number 3. Tell me a flower you might see in a corsage.
Carnation.
Carnation. Survey says... Unfortunately, that was number 2. Rose was number 1. Here we go. Question 4. Name a good day to go food shopping to avoid crowds.
Monday.
Survey says it's actually Tuesday. Tuesday was the number one answer. No worries, no worries. Still got plenty more questions to go. Here comes number 5. Name something angry people do.
Scream.
Survey says that was the number one answer. You got it.
There we go.
You have 2, and you've got 10 questions left. Question 6. Who comes to mind when you hear the name Michael?
Jordan.
Survey says... Should have went with the other MJ. Michael Jackson was number 1.
Michael Jackson, yes, of course.
Question 7. How long is a good workout in a gym?
45 minutes.
Survey says 1 hour. That was unfortunately the number one answer, 1 hour. But you have quite a number of questions to go. Here comes your next one. Name a reason you might be up all night.
I would say heartburn.
Heartburn. Survey says... I will give that to you. You're sick. That kind of counts. Yeah, I'll give that to you.
All right.
You're up to 3 answers, and let's try to make it 4 with this question. Name something firemen take to fires.
Fire trucks.
Survey says fire hose.
All right.
Question number 10. What was your very first pet?
Dog.
Your answer is dog, and you know what? Since you know a thing or two about dogs, why don't you say survey says for this question?
Survey says...
Dog was the number one answer.
There we go.
And listen to this, John. Something funny happened during this Fast Money round. The second contestant that played said cow.
A cow.
What was your very first pet?
Cow.
Okay. I think I have a large ball of wax in my ear. What did you just say?
A cow.
A cow. Okay, I heard it right. And what did we call our cow?
T-bone.
T-bone.
You have 4 correct answers. Here we go. Question 11. Besides a holiday, name an occasion when families come together.
Weddings.
Survey says birthdays was number 1. Birthdays.
Okay.
Here comes your next question. Name a type of bean found in a salad.
Kind of bean. The first thing that comes to mind is lima.
Lima bean you're going to go with? And survey says green bean was actually the top answer. That was a tough one. You know, when I even played that along, I couldn't even come up with green bean.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big salad guy, so...
Me neither. I always say my favorite salad is on a burger. Question 13. Name something women wash more often than men do.
Underwear.
Underwear. Survey says... Unfortunately, that was not the number one answer, although I would have thought it would have been. Actually, hair was the top answer to that question. Hair. All right, question 14. Name a door that kids forget to shut.
Either front door or bathroom door. I'm going to say bathroom door.
Survey says sometimes it's better off trusting your first answer because front door or back door was the number one answer. All right, so right now you have 4 correct answers, and since you cannot get to 7 points at this time, here's what I'll do. Since Fast Money is typically 5 questions, and the goal essentially is to get all 5 number 1 answers, if you get this answer correct, I'll still deem you a winner. How about that?
Okay.
And I think you can get this one. It's very doable. Name a type of drink that has bubbles.
Soda.
You said soda for the win. Survey says champagne. Champagne was the answer.
No, okay. And once again, you're asking the guy that should have answered that way. I got wine and champagne wrong. Well, I'll have to live with that misery then.
But I hope you had fun.
As of course, I enjoyed talking to you.
Well, I of course enjoyed talking with you today as well, John. And unfortunately, you didn't win past Fast Money, but you did get 4 correct number 1 answers, which is not bad at all. And if I could, I definitely would give you $5 for every point. But John, thanks so much for playing Past Fast Money.
You bet.
Past Fast Money. Well, John, I have had the biggest blast talking with you today. It's been such a pleasure to have you on the game show.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Appreciate the conversation.
And I most certainly enjoyed this conversation as well. And thank you so much, John, for all the memories you've given me watching you host Family Feud and to tell the truth throughout the years.
You bet. Nice to talk with you.
It was nice to talk with you as well. And John, you always have an open invitation to come back onto the game show as my guest to talk more about your game show career, or if you just want another go at Past Fast Money.
Thanks. Yeah. Bye-bye now.
All right, bye, John. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of The Game Show. My thanks once again to the host of To Tell the Truth from 2000 to 2002 and the host of Family Feud from 2006 to 2010, John O'Hurley, for being my guest today. It was the thrill of a lifetime getting the chance to talk with you, and I enjoyed every single second of it. Now, here's a Family Feud question to end the show. We surveyed 100 people, and the top answer is on the board. Where can you go if you want to listen to this episode of The Game Show again, or check out all the previous episodes of The Game Show? Of course, the number 1 answer is The Game Show's SoundCloud page, and you can find it by logging on to www.soundcloud.com/Bradley_Clarke, that's BRADLEY_CLARKE/sets/The Game Show. That's www.soundcloud.com/Bradley_Clarke, that's BRADLEY_CLARKE/sets/The Game Show. Plus, don't forget to like The Game Show starring Bradley Clarke on Facebook and follow The Game Show starring Bradley Clarke on Twitter using the handle @TheGameShowBC and #TheGameShow. But of course, be sure to tune in next time for another exciting episode of The Talk Show, all about the world of television game and competition shows, The Game Show. I'm Bradley Clarke, the Bradster, and I've got to go give my answer before my 3 seconds are up. Bye for now.
This edition of The Game Show was created and produced by Bradley Clarke and was recorded at the WRHU studios. This is Austin Angelo speaking.
The Game Show is a Bradley Clarke production. Get your game on.